How did a truck driver get in shape living on the road after getting himself fat? You're about to find out after this set of bench dips. We'll get the workout started. After the first set, we'll explain what I'm doing for the workout. It's arm day, it's fun day. Then we'll get into a little story time. A little bit different arm workout than usual. Fewer sets, but more intense in each set. We do 5 rounds. 5 rounds for triceps, 5 rounds for biceps. We're going to superset it. Do each set for triceps and biceps. It's going to be not all the way to failure, but we're going to put quite a bit more than we usually do into it. Try something different. Except for the very first set. It's a warm-up set. Get the blood flowing. So now that I've gone over the workout, let's tell you a little bit about how I got started working out on the road. After I'd been on the road for about 5 years, I was getting kind of fat. Big old love handles, a belly that jiggled when I went over bumps in the road. It was kind of getting brutal. But with a very strong athletic background, I knew what I was doing to start working out. And I'll tell you how I started after this set of chin-ups. Usually what I've been doing, so this is going to be kind of a explain what I'm doing, going to a little backstory about how I get in shape. That's what we're doing this round with this workout. What I've been doing for arm day is 7 sets, 5 reps. 5 reps on the dips, 5 reps on the chin-ups. Today we're going to do 5 sets of 7, at least. Dips, we'll see. After I still have to be careful with dips because of my shoulder, but enough about that. When I started working on the road, I just started, this is about 2 years ago. I started real simple. Right after I got done driving for the day, I'd do about 5 to 10 minutes of stretching and mobility, and then 1 set for push, 1 set for pull. What I did for push was I just did this. Got on here, and then it's the scapula. Scapula pushes, just like that. That's all I did. I did 1 set, and I would just stay there and just really hold it until I start getting a little tired. Then I would bring, see, you get examples with me. I'm going to show you how it's done. I would bring my top bunk down, and I would just hang, grab this, and I would just pull myself up and hang, just like this. And that workout, right after I got done driving for the day, took me about 5-10 minutes a day. I did different variations. Sometimes I would do more stretching, sometimes I would do more push-pull. And it took me a little while. Well, let's get into the second set here. I gotta keep this workout moving. As usual, you gotta be efficient with my time. I'll go for 7 reps here, but we'll see how low I can go. Shoulder's feeling pretty good, so. I'm going to try really pushing in the up position on the final rep and do a little turnout, just like that. Then I'm upping the intensity for the chin-ups by keeping my legs straight and to the front as I do each chin-up. So once I started doing those daily workouts, I just focused on doing it every day. I didn't really have any real goals except just to stay extremely consistent. Didn't matter what else was going on. Didn't matter if I got done at midnight. Didn't matter if I got done in the morning. Just didn't matter. I just made sure I do 5-10 minutes a day, have some light stretching, some light, mobility work, so stretching, doing my joints, kind of this kind of stuff. I've showed it before, and I'll be showing that stuff more as I go forward, because I want to kind of tell you how I did it, show you how I do it, and then show other people how they can get started. And do it all while I'm doing my workout. Not an easy task to accomplish, but I'm going to get it done. So after doing that, just those daily mobility and light isometrics, and what that was, they were just kind of holds, just to get my body used to it again, because I've been working out my whole life. It's been the one thing that I've been interested in and passionate about since I was a little kid, and started training when I was around 12 years old. I started learning how to train. I got Arnold Schwarzenegger's Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding, the Wrestling Physical Conditioning Encyclopedia. So notice encyclopedias, that's what we had to do it back in the mid-late 80s. We're gonna learn from books. I would go to the bookstore in the library as a young teenager, and I would just be in the exercise section and just look at books on bodybuilding, because that was mostly what they had. We really didn't know much about how to do the gymnastics. Calisthenics wasn't really a thing other than pull-ups and push-ups and dips. That was the only calisthenics we knew of back then. Not like today where we have so many options, which I think confuses people quite a bit, especially beginners. They don't know the best way to get started, especially with those with only a little bit of experience or no experience at all. It's very easy for them to get confused of where to start. That's why I want to do this, because there's plenty of ways to get started, and there's plenty of good ways to get started, and there's plenty of ways that can, in the long run, can oftentimes not necessarily do more harm than good, but you're going to waste a lot of time. Do some more dips. Round number 3. I almost feel like I'm going deeper. My shoulder's feeling pretty good, which is nice. I think those bench dips are really helping. Just kind of do that as a warm-up. Just gives you a nice stretch. I have seen videos online that weren't against the bench dips, what I did for my first set of triceps. So I think that could be true. If you're really trying to go for maximum range of motion too soon. You gotta watch that range of motion. I can tell in the dips I'm going a little deeper than I have in the past recently. So I'm gonna try to just keep it right there. When I go too deep, and it's like with those bench dips. Yeah, I agree. If you go too deep, you can really torque your shoulders. No problem. So just go down where you feel a decent stretch and come back up. And really try to accentuate that squeeze at the top. So when I was a teenager, I was just looking at books. I was reading books, and I had a little weight set at home, one of those, plastic cement-filled dumbbell sets, and I would just do what I could. I was trying things out. Then I got involved playing sports because I was a good athlete, ran track, wrestled, but I always kept up my interest in strength training and athletic development. Kind of went hand in hand. I would get into bodybuilding for a while, then I would learn something. I would get into some athletic discipline. Right after high school, I got into MMA. Back then, it wasn't even called MMA. This was back when the UFC was still in the single digits. And I was fortunate enough to train with some guys that were world class. I mean, all the way, like legit world champions. Josh Barnett was probably the biggest one that I trained with on a regular basis. He was just starting out in his career, but he was very, very good. I mean, that's when I got to see what a world-class athlete really was. And he was that. And then all the way through my 20s and 30s, I was always working out. I was always, I was not always doing things right, doing a lot of things wrong, especially habits outside of the gym. I like to party, all that kind of good stuff. And then we'll get more after this. So I was always training all through my 20s, 30s, teens, 20s, and 30s. But I never took any kind of job or career seriously. If a job or anything I did for money didn't support my athletic habit, then I wouldn't do it. But then I turned 40, and I'd been working as a flying trapeze artist for a while. And then kind of got out of that because doing that for a living in my late 30s started taking a toll on me physically. That's also where I kind of learned how to train the way I do now. But that's for another story, another time. So when I got into trucking, my thought was, there's days behind me. I was going to concentrate on driving trucks, trying to keep myself in reasonable shape, but not like I was in the past. I wasn't going to try to be in athletic shape anymore. 5 years go by, I'm not really liking it. I'm out of shape. It's hard to maintain and not really move forward. Either you can move forward one way, shape, or another, or you're going to be sliding backwards. Or you can slide backwards much slower by trying to maintain, and that just slows down the process of moving backwards. Round number 4. I'm getting through this. Whew. So I've been trucking for a while and I was out of shape and didn't like it. I don't know how people stay that way, to be honest. But after a while of working out every day, and it took me a few times. I start for a while, then stop for a while, stop for a while, then stop for a while. But once I got to that point where I feel my belly shaking and jiggling, going over bumps in the road, kind of that was the turning point. I said, okay, I'm just going to work out every day. But I had to start where I was at. I was out of shape. I couldn't do pull-ups or chin-ups anywhere near like I could do now. I could barely do 1 or 2 good pull-ups. And I didn't really start getting super consistent until I put a pull-up bar in the truck. That was the game changer. And I'll tell anybody, if they're just starting out, whether you get it in a truck, or you have it at the gym, go to a park, Put them in your office. Put a pull bar in your home. If you got a home gym, put it in your living room. Put it in the bedroom. Put it above the stairs. It's going to help a ton. You get a set of rings. That's all you need. You can get in fantastic shape. Nothing but a pull bar and a set of rings. And during this whole time, I did have my rings with me, but I never had anywhere to set them up. I thought at the time I would set them up at like rest areas and things like that, but never did. But then I got the pull-up bar, I got the rings, then I was able to just do some real hanging. For a while, all I did was hang. I just hung, just spent time hanging, did some scapular pulls like this, and just started moving around. And I did that, and then for, push, I would just support myself. I would just go into a position like this to just support myself on the rings. And I just got my body used to that. Used to controlling my body in those positions. And after a while, I was starting to do some real push-ups and dips and pull-ups. Then I was able to start doing more, not really advanced, but more basic acrobatics and gymnastics movements that I'd learned in my 30s doing flying trapeze and coaching gymnastics. Then things just kept snowballing. The most important thing I did was I worked out every single day. And one of the reasons I was able to do it is because I knew how. I knew how. I'd been working out for so long before that I knew how to regulate my body. I knew how to regulate the intensity, how to change my workouts on the fly based on how my body's feeling. Like sometimes I just get that little tweak in my shoulder, change things up a little bit. Sometimes I'd be a little sore from yesterday's workout, go a little easier. But the important thing was just training every day. All right, extra rep on that one. And I think before that, I rarely trained every day. Actually, no, I did. When I worked in the circus, I wasn't really training every day, but we had to practice and perform every day. I wasn't doing dedicated strength training every day like I'm doing now. So that's kind of where I got my feel for doing something that was strength oriented and athletic every day, multiple times a day. That'll be another story another time. And that's why now, especially for older adults, I encourage people to do some strength training every day. Even that goes against, the popular opinions today of 3 or 4 days a week or even 2 days a week for half an hour. I think you're better off 5-10 minutes a day just starting out every single day. You're going to build that habit, and you want to do just enough to get the blood flowing, get the heart rate up, and get those endorphins. Just do that every day. That's what I was concentrating on. And soon enough, I wanted more and more. I was even smoking. I was a smoker all through my 20s, 30s, up until about 1.5 years ago. But it wasn't until I started working out every day that my urge to smoke just kind of petered out after a while. It just kind of starved and died. It took a while. It didn't happen all at once. But just concentrating on developing and growing that good habit made the bad habits just eventually withered away and died. Now I'm just in such a great place physically, emotionally, psychologically, mentally. And I would say 90% of that is just working out every day and having a good diet. I don't go into my diet very much. I will say that I mostly focus on macros. 2,000 calories a day, 180 to 190 grams of protein every day, about 210 grams of carbs, about 50 grams of fat. That's just what I do every day. Some Some people are going to be a little more or less of one thing or another. However, tracking your macros is the foundation. You can just get good at the basics, doing the basics every day. Be surprised what you can accomplish. Let's finish up this last round. One more rep on that too. I think I could have done more, but you know what? Progress is progress. That felt like a much better range of motion than I've had since I've been back in the truck. Since last year. I think 8 reps might have been the most reps I've ever done on dips, on ring dips in quite some time. You don't always want to just push it to the absolute limits, as long as you're continually getting better. I always say that it's not about just having the most intense workout all the time. It's challenging yourself consistently, one way or the other, that makes progress. I don't want such a tiring workout that I don't have energy for the rest of my day, for everything else I got to do today. I still got a couple 100 miles driving to do. I got all the stuff I got to do in the evening before I go to sleep. And I got to get up tomorrow around 4 a.m. I need energy for all that. And the way I work out, not only does it get me in shape, keep me in shape, keeps me getting stronger, pushing almost 50 years old, it also gives me better energy for everything else I had to do for the day. It makes me better at my job. Makes me better at life in general. Whereas if you try to really push it as hard as you can every day, you're going to take away from other areas of your life. You can use training to make everything better, or you can just have your life revolve around training. My life doesn't revolve around training. It revolves around driving 500 miles a day, doing the job. I do training to support that. All right, final round. Whew. Well, I hope all that made at least a little bit of sense. I hope that was somewhat coherent. Be able to get something out of it. That's the workout. Oh, we gotta do our stretching. Not quite done yet. Always get a little bit of stretching done afterwards. Helps blood flow through the muscles a little bit better than if you just stop working out and sit around. You don't got to stretch much, but you got to stretch a little. Let's bring this down, stretch out the calves and the legs a little bit because we've been sitting all day. I'll have to keep retelling that story about how I started working out on the road and got in shape. A little bit more in depth about how in the past, how I learned to work out. Just gonna keep doing it. Keep making these videos. Keep working out. Stretch the chest out a little bit. Just keep getting a little bit better. That's how it's done.